Hi guys, Michael here. Today I'll show you how one of the tanks in the green wall behind me went from this to this and turned into a home for these beautiful wild type Mexican Swordtails. It turned out to be much more than just a redecoration because there was so much dirt in this tank. It's been running for 6 or 8 years, something. So we needed to go all in. In reality, this process took a couple of weeks, on and off, but you can get by using 25 minutes of your time if you want to see all the details. So grab a cup of coffee, tea, or something stronger and lean back. Enjoy.
This tank in the green wall has been running for at least 6 years without any major changes. The overall aquascape has changed several times, and a variety of fish has lived here during that period. But the bottom layer of ordinary gravel has not been touched in all that time, so it's safe to assume that we have a major buildup of dirt down there. So a large makeover has been up occasionally several times, and now it was time to go all in. So we moved the Fondalepanthax amiati that was in the tank to our breeding rack, since it was time to harvest new eggs from these beauties. Then I moved the well-circled filter to the neighbor tank that housed the tequila split fins and let it run there while I was muddying things up. I ripped out all the plants and stirred up the bottom. The amount of dirt in the tank was, let's just say, overwhelming. So I started a cleanup routine. First, I stirred up the bottom and let a couple of power hits with a sponge filter pick up the dirt. I cleaned the sponges hourly. I tried that routine for about a day and even brought the original filter back in before realizing that it wasn't enough. Then I brought in the heavy artillery. I used one hose to send temperate water into the gravel and another hose to send the dirty water from the tank out to the vegetables in Ulla's kitchen garden. Using temperate water ensures that some part of the microfauna in the gravel will survive, even through heavy cleaning. That started to give results, but I had to wait several times while the water level sank, since the intake was much faster than the outlet. since that was kind of boring to look at, I used the pauses to watch the neighbor aquarium with a tequila split fin lid. I could watch these beautiful wild type libraries for hours. The golden females, the steel blue males with their orange tails, and the youngsters in different sizes. Hey, but I didn't have time for that. There was work to be done. So it was more water in, more water out, until things cleared up a bit. The water pouring in from the hose comes from our own well, so it has no chlorine or other nasty stuff added. I also harvested some water from the well-matured tank where the northern mountain swordtails were hanging out while waiting for the new tank to be scaped. Okay, it's still cloudy, but the filter should be able to clean the rest up now. Time for another cup of coffee. Next step was a trip to the beach to collect hardscape, meaning nicely rounded stones. To add to the river vibe, I needed river stones and pebbles. But in Denmark we don't have large roaring rivers with those characteristic stones. But no matter where you are in Denmark, the coastline is nearby. On these wind-exposed shorelines, the stones are getting grounded constantly and get the same shape as river stones. And they are available in sizes from big boulders to small pebbles. So Ulla and I went to our local shore to collect some hardscape. Returning from the coast with bags of stones and pebbles, I gave them a clean up in fresh water. And I was ready to start building some kind of scape in the tank. The idea was to create some kind of river environment, since it is gonna be home for a small shoal of swordtails that have mountain creeks as a natural habitat. As usually, I just added some stones and started moving them around until something started to look right. I wanted the gravel to be high at the back of the tank to add the optical illusion of a larger tank and to look a bit like a riverbank. Then I added some Amazon sword plants, an Echinodorus blaheri and an Echinodorus ocelot. Those two were gonna be the real showpieces. Then I planted several smaller sword plants in the mid-ground. I think they are Echinodorus renii. I didn't need a lot of fine-leaf stem plants in this tank, but wanted to let the sword plants define the scape. I also wanted to keep the front and the left side of the tank pretty open, since I would add some kind of small power head there, just to create enough current to create the mountain creek vibe. I added an additional layer of fine sand to illustrate the river bottom and to have more substrate to add foreground plants in. Planted some small Sagittaria subulata in the open space in the front. I added more sand. And sprinkled some pebbles, kind of random, just for a natural look. I thought the scape needed a bit of driftwood and dumped a couple of those in. They are probably gonna be moved around a bit until I'm satisfied. I added a soda stream bottle for my primitive CO2 system. I'll show you more of that in another video. I dropped a couple of Pista stratiotus water lettuce on the surface. And the first livestock went in. Just a couple of Ramson snails. 2 isn't enough, so I'll add a handful of those later. More water, and the scape was there, more or less. Next step was adding a small power head to make a bit of a current. I had an old pump laying around and added a small foam filter around the intake. Since I really hate seeing any kind of technique when I look into a tank, I hit the power head between a couple of stones in the left side of the tank. A couple of plants had to be removed to make room for that. After I started the power head, the illusion of a river became more realistic. All I had left was to add some root taps to the sword plants, the large clay balls from USB to the large solitary plants, and the small taps from Tropica to the small sword plants in the front. A few days later, it was time to release the fish into the tank. Since I'd used partly active gravel, and active filter media, and water from an established tank, the tank was circled right from the start, and the water was gin clear. Xiphophorus nezahualcoyotl, or however it's pronounced, is a swordtail, which is found in rivers and creeks in the state San Luis Potosi, Mexico. The common name Northern Mountain Swordtail indicate that these fish live at higher elevations, and they thrive at temperatures around 20 to 24 degrees Celsius. That is 68 to 75 Fahrenheit. Furthermore, these fish stay small, with males rarely exceeding 5 centimeters without the sword, and females growing a bit larger. I'm really looking forward to see these beautiful fish settle in and breed. Actually, while they were still in the quarantine tank, I managed to pull 20 fry out of that tank and move these to a grow out tank.
Okay guys, that's all. I'll just leave you to a moment of chill with these beautiful swordtails. If you liked this type of content, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell and all that stuff if you haven't done already. It would really help us out and enable us to produce more content of this type. That's all. Thanks for watching.